My fiancée cheated on me with her ex. After we broke up, her ex dumped her, and now she wants me back. My parents are urging me to give her another chance. Before we got to the story, I plan to give away $100 to whoever has the best opinion regarding this matter. So stay tuned, and I'll announce the winner in the few next videos. You only have to post your opinion on the comment below and consider to like and subscribe so that you'll not miss the announcement and many other future giveaway. Thanks, and back to the story. I'm a male, currently 28 years old, and when I first met Emily, I felt like the luckiest man in the world. She was everything I had ever wanted in a partner: smart, beautiful, and kind-hearted. We had an incredible connection and quickly fell in love. After 3 years together, I proposed, and she said yes. We started planning our future, envisioning a life filled with love, laughter, and shared dreams. But everything shattered when I discovered she had been cheating on me with her ex-boyfriend, Chris. I found out through a series of text messages on her phone, messages that were filled with the kind of intimacy and longing that should have been reserved for our relationship. When I confronted her, she broke down, admitting that she had been seeing Chris behind my back for months. She claimed it was a mistake, a moment of weakness, and begged for my forgiveness. But the trust was broken, and I couldn't see a way forward. I ended our engagement and broke up with her. The following weeks were a blur of pain and confusion. Tried to move on, throwing myself into work and leaning on friends for support. But the betrayal cut deep, and the thought of Emily with Chris haunted me. Felt like everything we had built together was a lie. Couldn't understand how she could throw away our future for someone she had supposedly moved on from. A few months later, I heard through mutual friends, Chris had dumped her. Apparently, he had never intended to be with her long term and had only used her to stroke his own ego. Emily was devastated, and I heard she was going through a tough time. Then, out of the blue, she reached out to me, asking if we could talk. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet her. When we met, she looked broken. She apologized profusely, tears streaming down her face, and told me how much she regretted her actions. She said losing me had made her realize how much she truly loved me and that Chris had been a huge mistake. She asked if we could start over, promising that she had changed and would never hurt me again. I felt a wave of conflicting emotion. Part of me still loved her and wanted to believe that she had learned from her mistakes. But another part of me was wary, remembering the pain and betrayal. I told her I needed time to think, and left the meeting feeling more confused than ever. When I shared this with my parents, I was surprised by their reaction. They had always liked Emily and had been supportive of our relationship. They urged me to give her another chance, saying that everyone makes mistakes and that true love is worth fighting for. They reminded me of the good times we had shared and the future we had planned together. My mother even went as far as to say that Emily's remorse was a sign that she had genuinely changed. But my friends were adamant that I shouldn't take her back. They reminded me of how heartbroken I was when I found out about the affair, and warned me that people rarely change. They believed that if Emily could betray me once, she could do it again. They wanted me to move on and find someone who would truly appreciate and respect me. I was torn between the advice of my parents and the warnings of my friends. I tried to weigh the pros and cons, but my emotions were all over the place. On one hand, I missed Emily and the life we had planned. On the other hand, I couldn't shake off the betrayal and the fear of being hurt again. Eventually, I agreed to meet Emily again to discuss things further. We talked for hours, going over what had happened and how it had affected us both. She explained that her insecurities and unresolved feelings for Chris had clouded her judgment, leading her to make the biggest mistake of her life. She insisted that she had learned her lesson and wanted to spend the rest of her life making it up to me. I could see the sincerity in her eyes, and it was clear that she was genuinely remorseful. But as much as I wanted to believe her, I couldn't ignore the nagging doubt in my heart. Trust, once broken, is incredibly hard to rebuild. I told her I needed more time to think and would let her know my decisions soon. Over the next few days, I reflected on our relationship and the person I had become since the breakup. I realized that while I still had feelings for Emily, I had also grown stronger and more self-reliant. I had learned to value my own worth and understand that I deserved to be with someone who truly respected and cherished me. In the end, I decided not to take Emily back. I called her and explained my decision, emphasizing that it wasn't out of anger or spite, but because I needed to protect myself and ensure my own happiness. She was heartbroken. She understood and thanked me for being honest. My parents were disappointed. They respected my decision. My friends were relieved and supported me wholeheartedly. I felt a sense of closure and peace, knowing that I had made the right choice for myself. While it was one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make, I know it was the right one. Sometimes, love isn't enough to overcome betrayal, and it's okay to prioritize your own well-being. I hope that Emily finds happiness and learns from her mistakes, but I also know that I deserve a fresh start with someone who will truly value and respect. Despite the clarity I felt, the aftermath of my decision wasn't easy. Emily tried reaching out a few more times through texts and mutual friends, but I kept my distance. I needed to focus on healing and moving forward. I threw myself into my work and hobbies, finding solace in the routines and the new goals I set for myself. One day, I received a letter from Emily. It was long and heartfelt, filled with apologies and reflections on her mistake. She wrote about the therapy sessions she had started attending, trying to understand why she had sabotaged our relationship. She admitted that she had deep-seated issues with self-worth and had used Chris as a way to feel validated. It was a raw and honest letter, and for a moment I wondered if I had made a mistake by not giving her another chance. But as I read on, I realized that while she was taking steps to better herself, the trust between us had been irrevocably damaged. I could forgive her. Forgetting was another matter. I knew that I would always be looking over my shoulder, wondering if she would betray me again. That wasn't the foundation I wanted for my future. I didn't respond to her letter. Instead, I kept moving forward. I reconnected with old friends, started new hobbies, and even considered going back to school for a degree I had always been interested in. My life began to take on new meaning, and slowly but surely, the pain of Emily's betrayal started to fade. The year passed, and I found myself in a much better place. I had a new job that I loved, had made new friends, and even started dating again. My parents, seeing how much happier I was, finally came around to understanding my decision. They admitted that they had been wrong to pressure me and expressed their pride in how I had handled everything. One day, out of the blue, I ran into Emily. We were both at a mutual friend's wedding, and it was the first time we had seen each other since our last meeting. She looked well, and there was a calmness about her that hadn't been there before. We exchanged pleasantries, and she mentioned how she was still in therapy and doing a lot better. She thanked me for being strong enough to walk away, as it had forced her to confront her issues and truly work on herself. We didn't talk much more after that, but seeing her brought a sense of closure. I realized that while our relationship had ended painfully, it had led both of us to better places. I wished her well and felt a sense of peace that I hadn't felt in a long time. As I watched the wedding ceremony unfold, I thought about my own future. I knew that I still wanted to find love and build a family, but I also knew that I wouldn't settle for anything less than someone who truly valued and respected me. Emily's betrayal had taught me a lot about myself, and I was grateful for the lessons, even if they had come at a high cost. Not long after the wedding, I met someone new. Her name was Rachel, and she was everything I had been looking for. Kind, intelligent, and with a sense of integrity that shone through in everything she did. We took things slow, building a strong foundation of trust and mutual respect. It was a stark contrast to my relationship with Emily, and it felt right in a way I hadn't experienced before. Rachel knew about my past with Emily, and she appreciated my honesty. We talked openly about our expectations and fears, and it made our bond even stronger. As we grew closer, I found myself falling in love again, but this time with a sense of security and confidence that had been missing before. My friends and family noticed the change in me. They saw how happy Rachel made me, and how our relationship was built on mutual respect and trust. My parents, especially, were thrilled to see me moving on and finding happiness again. They had learned from their mistake of pushing me towards reconciliation with Emily and were now fully supportive of my new relationship. As I moved forward with Rachel, I continued to reflect on my journey. The pain of Emily's betrayal had been a catalyst for growth and self-discovery. I had learned the importance of self-worth and the strength to stand up for myself, even when it meant making difficult decisions. Looking back, I realized that the heartbreak had been necessary for me to find my true path. Emily's infidelity had shattered my world, but it had also given me the opportunity to rebuild it stronger and more resilient. I had found a love that was based on trust and mutual respect, and I was grateful for the lessons I had learned along the way. As Rachel and I talked about our future together, I felt a sense of excitement and hope. I knew that we would face challenges, but I also knew that we had the foundation to overcome them. I was ready to embrace this new chapter of my life, the confidence that I had grown into a person who knew his worth and was unafraid to demand the respect and love he deserved. In the end, Emily's betrayal had been a painful but valuable lesson. It had taught me the importance of self-respect, strength to move on, and the ability to find love again. I was grateful for the journey, even with its hardships, and I looked forward to the future with hope and optimism.